guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 things I wish I knew before moving back to Tampa. And so let's get after it right now. So today I'm shooting this from one of the lakes that's in my community. I live in Bayport Colony and I have a condo that overlooks the canal to this water right here. And this lake right here feeds out to Tampa Bay. So I'm a really lucky spot. But I'm in an area called Town and Country. We're gonna talk about that in a minute because that's one of my 10 reasons that I wanted to discuss with you. So let's talk about reason number 1. As I'm sitting out here today, we're talking about the weather. Today couldn't be a more perfect day. Yes, you're seeing me in long sleeves. All of my northern people, yes, I know, I've got thin skin. I wore a beanie and you guys all freaked out. So it does get cold here. It's not that cold today, but it is beautiful, absolutely stunning. But here's the thing, guys. Right now, we are in February when I'm recording this, and this is one of the most perfect and ideal months to be here. Actually, I tell people our springtime is probably the most perfect weather you could ever ask for in the Tampa area. So the reality is, though, I didn't remember how hot it actually gets here until I spent a couple of summers here when I first initially moved back. I moved back, just a little backstory, I moved back in 2018 and I had left in, gosh, I gotta remember back. I had left in 94. So you can imagine a lot has changed since I'd come back. But the weather, of course, has gotten a little bit more brutal than I remember. The reality is it gets atrociously hot here. And I'm not just saying heat hot. It can only get maybe around 90 plus degrees, but our humidity is like at 1,000%. You maybe get 2 weeks of cold in total for the entire year. We had some nice cold spells around Christmas, which helped make it feel really festive. And I personally love the break because after so many days of frizzy hair, you kind of just would like to put on a jacket every now and then. The thing I love the most is being able to open my windows and my sliding glass doors and let some real cool breeze come in. Because trust me, 9 months, 10 months out of the year, you're never gonna open your door. It's just too hot. Not to mention bugs and all of that, which we're gonna get to bugs in a minute. So basically, June to September, hottest months. August is about the hottest month. Every summer, I always think, is August really gonna be that hot? Yes, it's that hot. I don't think I left the house in August, to be honest with you. And I am an outdoors person. I like to be on the water. I like to be out in nature. And that is really the time of year that the locals tend to take their vacations up north or out west to get to some cooler areas. So again, as I say to most of my clients, especially my relocation clients, you need to come visit, but ideally you need to come visit. If you have an issue with heat, you need to come during the hottest month, which is August, like I said. Come visit and see if you can handle it. If you can handle the heat in August, you're gonna do just fine. Let's talk about number 2 on my list here. It's a very slow pace here. You are in the South. That's not gonna change. Even though we've had an influx of people relocating here, especially from up north down here to the sunshine, I get it. We are still primarily a slow state. We like our vacation time, we like our siestas, we like our happy hours. So if you're in a restaurant and you need quick service, you need to tell them. I've had to do that a couple times when I went to go see a movie and I was like, listen, we have to be at the movie theater at X amount time. Can you hurry it up? And they accommodate. But for the most part, you're not gonna get rushed out of a restaurant like you will in some of the bigger cities. People also talk slower. I have gotten into a couple of conversations with people at the gas station, the grocery store, the Walgreens, and they just love to chat. It's the friendly Southern hospitality. It's not going away, and then people talk very slowly. So if you are used to a big city, high-paced kind of life, you're gonna have to take it down a couple notches when you live here. Also, and we're gonna talk about traffic, I don't wanna get ahead of myself, but because I'm gonna talk about the slow part of the traffic now, and then I'm gonna talk about the heavy part of the traffic later. There are people, it's like we have extremes. It's like they either go 40 miles an hour on the highway or they're going 140 on the highway. So there's always this mix of the fast-paced people that have moved here, and then we still have the slow-paced mentality of the people that have been here for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And so you're not gonna really get away from that. We've always been a retiree town. That, of course, is shifting. And as we're shifting, the locals don't want to shift. So they're still in their slow pace, okay? So just be patient. If you need to get somewhere fast, give yourself some more time. I have to do that myself. Give yourself some more time so you're not rushing in traffic. And if you're in a restaurant or doing anything service-oriented, just be nice and tell them that you are in a bit of a hurry, and they tend to snap it together for you. So number 3 on my list is the housing is diverse. And I kind of think that's shocking to some people when they come to visit and look for properties with me. I do understand that you're all watching videos if you're relocating. A lot of videos are just showing you the best possibilities, right? Well, the reality is the best possibilities, A, may not be in your price range, and B, might not have all the renovation that you're looking for. So you really have to understand that the older homes are going to be closer to the water. So most of the construction happened around the 1950s to 1980s, right? When things started to kind of grow proportionately to the city. And so those houses, for whatever reason, most of them only had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Some of them now they've converted the garages into the 3rd bedroom, which again, I've said on other videos, that's why you don't see a lot of garages over on the Pinellas County side of town. So if you're looking for something newer, more renovated, you're gonna have to go to the outskirts of town. And that's gonna be the north part of Tampa, up there in the Wesley Chapel, you know, Wesley Chapel all the way over to Trinity and even Newport Richey, or southeast, which is gonna be your Brandon all the way down to Palmetto, really. So that's not necessarily near Tampa proper. I'm keep trying to get ahead of myself. I'm gonna talk about, you know, how far it is to drive, you know, from A to B in Tampa here in a minute. But we're a lot more spread out than I think people realize. Now, of course, I'm speaking to you today from, you know, a gorgeous neighborhood. I'm gonna give you a view here in a minute of all these beautiful houses. They're huge. They used to be cheaper, now they're not. They're $1 million homes. I mean, there's a house behind me over right there. I think you can see it right there. Right there. It's like a $2 million house. Now, my condo is not that expensive. So my neighborhood is a great example of the diversity of what you can get, and what, you know, it's a mixed bag. So Town and Country in particular has trailer parks, has some really, really old, not so great neighborhoods. And then as you get closer to the water off of Hillsborough, you also have a mixed bag. So you've got some of these older Florida homes that have not been renovated, but they sit on the water and they've got boat slips. And so they're able to get a ton of money for them. They start maybe at the 500 range. So my condo community, now when I bought, it was very inexpensive because that was in 2018, but now they've doubled. So the neighborhoods don't necessarily look so great, but then you've got this, if you could just go a little bit further, a couple of streets down. So when you're looking for the areas that you really want to focus on, that's why I tell people to come to town, drive around. You can see houses on Zillow that you think are great, but you need to go drive that neighborhood. That's the first thing I ask people to do. It's a better use of your time if you see houses that you like on Zillow and then you go drive those neighborhoods when you're here visiting, because otherwise we're gonna go see a house and waste that time that we could be seeing a house in a neighborhood that you do like. So remember, neighborhoods are hit or miss. Some look great, some don't look so great. You just have to figure out what's gonna work for you. Hillsborough County and Pinellas County and Pasco County, they're all very different. They've got different requirements as far as HOAs or if they're deed restricted. There's a ton of diversity, like I said. So again, reach out to me and I can help you navigate that a little bit better. Okay, let's talk about number 4, which is insurance. Auto insurance, home insurance, flood insurance, insurance. It's a question I get asked every day. And listen, I am not an insurance agent, so I can only help you so far. I do have people that I work with. I have my insurance guy, Sean, that I love, that I send people to, and he gives people quotes. I recommend, especially right now, and you've probably watched a couple of my videos, and if you haven't, we'll put them up here. You need to watch them, talking about what's going on with the insurance right now, because things are doubling and tripling. So here's a tip. When you're looking at Zillow and you're looking at a property and you're looking at how much taxes they paid in that tax year, and if it says homesteaded A, they're getting a discount, a reduction in that tax price, but also if they paid their taxes, there's a certain percentage of a discount that you get the sooner you pay your taxes. So that number isn't necessarily accurate as far as what it's gonna be for you when you own that house. Here's the thing. So if you go to the county's property appraiser site and you click tax calculator, so you can do it for Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, Pasco County, any of those counties, they have a tax calculator. Follow the instructions and see what number spits out for you. That's gonna give you a good average to go by. You can also then call an insurance agent, and I highly recommend getting several quotes. Don't just use my guy, call around. And some of the national companies aren't necessarily gonna give you a great rate, by the way. You can find some local companies that might have more competitive rates, in my opinion. Ask them to give you some quotes. I just went through this today, actually, with a client. We're looking at a property, we're putting in an offer, and I said, we really need to look at the insurance and the taxes on this so that because they really are budgeted tight. If that's you, you need to be doing your research. I explain it, it's just like buying a car, right? We get so excited about buying this nice, new, shiny car, we forget, what's the auto insurance gonna cost me on this car? It could double. And let's talk about auto insurance. I have never paid as much for auto insurance in LA, Austin, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, as I do here. You best get yourself an auto quote for the Florida area. Pick a zip code, in an area that you like, and see what that's gonna be. Especially if you have other drivers that you're putting on your policy, that can be another 10 to 15% uptick in your bill. So, insurance, it's just a pain, but we all have to deal with it, right? Number 5 is weird because I'm standing behind this beautiful water and you're gonna go, what are you talking about? But our water is terrible. And I mean the tap water. Okay, so what does that mean? You're coming from places like New York, New Jersey, where, I've heard, and we all know from the pizza and the bagels, the water is fabulous. You cook with that kind of water and it gives it that special flavor. I don't know what's in it. I wish we could get that here. No, you can't. We have a lot of limestone in our water. We have retention ponds. We have a lot of rust in the water. Trust me, you're gonna wanna get a water filtration system and you're gonna wanna make sure, you do not drink the tap water. And I highly recommend in your home that you get a reverse osmosis system as well as a water softener so that when you're washing your hair and your body and all that, you don't get all that kind of hard water all over you. It's really, you can feel it on your skin and it'll start to dull your hair out. So our water, no bueno. Do not drink it. And this is another thing. Do not give your dogs our tap water. Give them filtered water as well. If you're not gonna drink that water, don't let your pets drink that water either. Hey guys, real quick, I just want to stop the video and remind you, if you have any real estate related needs or questions about relocating to the central west coast of Florida, I'm your girl. My links are below. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, but better yet, you can jump on my calendar and we can start having a conversation and I can help you out. And don't forget, hit that thumbs up, notification bell, you know what to do. All right, let's get back to the video. And number 6 on my list is our beaches are crowded, you guys. I'm sorry to tell you this. You make your plans to come down here and one of the things you want to do, because you should, is go to the beach. Here's a little tip. Don't go to Clearwater Beach. Clearwater Beach has over 4 million visitors a year, and that's not where the locals go. So hit me up. I'll tell you the beaches to go to. I don't know. If I put it here, the locals may come after me. But just know, during our peak season, which is spring break, summer, and snowbird season, the beaches are crowded. Our weather right now turning and becoming so fabulous, the beaches are already getting crowded. Now, what does that mean? Just driving into the beach, you could be sitting in traffic for an hour just to get onto the beach. Also, they've got meters everywhere and the parking is limited. So it's very hard to park unless you're going to a very big beach that has ample amount of parking, okay? And just keep in mind, snowbird season is from Christmas to about Easter. That's usually when people come down that have vacation property or they're looking to get away from the snow. So again, our traffic is gonna be increased as well as the beaches are just gonna be madness. So prepare for crowded beaches. We're very popular, as you know. Everybody wants to come to the beach. Number 7 is my least favorite thing about Florida, Tampa in general, bugs. And all of the things that embodies, and we're gonna talk about alligators as well. As I'm sitting here in long sleeves, and it's not even that hot, My hands are being bitten by no-see-ums. That's right, they're called no-see-ums for a reason. You can't see them. We have bugs year round. We're a subtropical climate, so we don't have the time of year where we get enough cold weather to kill off the eggs and kill off all the bugs. So I was standing outside doing a showing, and it was probably 60 degrees out, and we had gnats all over our faces. So it happens. You're gonna live in bug spray, you're gonna live in sunscreen, and you're gonna live with an umbrella in your car. Those are my tips. We also have snakes. Ugh, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. My mother lives in East Lake Woodlands right? So she's on like a nature preserve. She has more, and they're black snakes, so they're not harmful, but you know, nobody wants to be around a snake. She has them all over the place and it makes her crazy. I just saw one in my neighborhood for the first time in 5 years, and it freaked me out. It did not do anything. My dog didn't even notice it. I was walking my dog and we just walked right past it. That's a natural occurrence. You're gonna see more of the garden variety snakes around places like neighborhoods and such, because truthfully, the more dangerous snakes don't wanna be around us, as well as gators. So let's talk about alligators. So back here, obviously in my lake here, and as you wind down, you get to the front of my condo, I have seen a baby alligator basically swimming with 2 ducks. And I think the ducks were a little confused why this little baby alligator, I think, was confused about its identity, if you really want to know the truth. And I've seen them. On my last video, I showed Alligator Lake over in Safety Harbor, and there was a little baby alligator right there. Usually the wildlife preserve people will come, and if the alligator's a certain size, they'll remove it from the area. Like out here in our water, they usually come and remove them. But you have to be careful of areas that have retention ponds, little ponds in the area, especially if it has a runoff pipe, because that's where gators kind of travel in and out of. And if you have small dogs, do not get your dogs near that body of water. That little gator, if there is one in there, sees that as a meal and will come and snatch it. It's on the news all the time that little puppies are getting eaten up by alligators. Now, there is a really big alligator in West Chase, and I know everybody loves West Chase, but everybody knows this alligator, and this alligator walks down the sidewalk. He's huge. I don't know if they've ever been able to catch him and release him somewhere else, but he's kind of notorious, and I think he just hangs out. There's a fallacy about alligators. They are not going to attack you unless they're provoked. So again, we live in this subtropical climate. We have all of these, reptilian creatures. Just leave them alone. Don't poke the bear. Leave them alone. And don't forget your bug spray. And we have flying cockroaches called palmetto bugs. Yes, they're disgusting. And when it rains heavily, they're looking for a way in. So if you have a crack anywhere in your house, you're gonna have a palmetto bug. Don't think, oh my God, I've got a roach infestation. You will have to have an exterminator come out regularly. I have one that comes out quarterly. It keeps everything at bay. I also have one of those blue light plugs in my kitchen that attracts all the little baby gnats, and they love it, and that's how I get rid of those little fruit flies that run around. So you find ways around it, right? But don't forget, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of bugs here. Ugh, it's the worst part. That and the heat, I don't like it. Okay, my number 8, I've been saving it, traffic. Because as an agent, I'm on the road a lot, and I'm all over town. I am crisscrossing the central west coast of Florida, okay? Interestingly enough, Tampa doesn't really rank nationwide, or Florida in general, I think doesn't really rank, but I can tell the difference from when I moved here in 2018 to now. The traffic is crazy. And it's not because we can't handle the traffic, it's our infrastructure that can't handle the traffic. We don't have enough freeway or highway systems. They don't call them freeways here, that's LA. They have highway systems here and interstates, and they can't handle the congestion. And then we don't have a ton of roads. Like in LA, when I lived in LA, I didn't get on the freeway a lot at all. There was always a way around it. There was a road to get me somewhere. That's not really so here. So a lot of times you have to take the interstate just to get to where you need to go. So keep in mind, our roads and infrastructure are old, okay? And as much as they're trying to keep up with the population that's growing here every day, it's just not possible. So give yourself extra time, try to be patient, try to be a mindful driver, try to be a defensive driver, try not to be a jerk. Use your turn signals. And I don't know who taught people to go from the left lane, crisscross in 4 lanes to exit without paying attention to all the other cars. But whoever that person is that taught people how to drive like that needs to lose his job, because I see that every day on the interstate, and I don't know how people aren't getting in accidents. So our roads, people are bringing their bad habits from all these people that are relocating. And by the way, I'm a relocator now. I'm considered a relocator, so I'm in that group. You know, you're bringing your bad habits here. You've got to slow down. You got to remember how to be a good driver, and you have to be patient, and you have to remember certain people have the right of way. Use your blinker. Pay attention to our signs. Our signs are part of the problem too. I understand why people go, oh crap, I'm going to miss my exit. And I've said this in another video, and I mean it. Then go to the next exit. Don't kill 4 people trying to crisscross over to exit. So obviously you can tell this is, you know, a hot button with me is our traffic. I hate it. Oh, and this is important to know too. Our lights are slower. I don't know why they did that, but you could sit at a light for 1-2 minutes long. Like you can time it. And that just creates these huge bottlenecks. So if you're trying to turn left and you're in that left-hand turn light lane, you could be sitting there for 3 lights before you actually get through. So again, patience, 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 patience. I need to tell myself that, patience, patience. Okay, number 9, you guys, Florida is not a small state. Like, I had a client ask me like, okay, so I wanna come check out Tampa, and I wanna come and check out Orlando, and then I wanna go to Naples, and then I wanna go to Miami, and then I might go to Jacksonville. I'm like, you don't realize that from Tallahassee to Miami is 8 hours. From Tampa to Melbourne, which is straight across to the East Coast, is 3 hours. Tampa to Naples is 2.5 hours. So when people ask me, you know, what areas I service, you know, I will go, just for reference, Tampa to Sarasota is about an hour. That's about as far south as I go. Tampa to Newport Richie, about an hour, a little under an hour. That's as far north I'll go. Maybe to Lakeland, I've obviously sold in Lakeland. So I will help people in Lakeland, that's about an hour. So if that gives you an idea of our area, we're big, wide, and open, okay? So if you're looking at other parts of Florida to consider, use Google Maps. It's right at your hands. It can tell you how far it is from point A to point B, because it's just deceiving because we look so small on a map. We are not that small. And another thing to understand about, you know, our state not being small is that we only have like 2 or 3 major interstates and highways. Like, it isn't like you have multiple options of how to get somewhere. So you could be leaving Miami trying to get back to Tampa and get stuck on I-75, or get stuck from I-75 to 275, and you don't have anywhere to go. You could get stuck on a bridge if there's bad weather, especially if there's an accident. I was on one of the bridges on 275 this weekend. It's the weekend, right? Things should be flowing. I'm like, why is there traffic all of a sudden? There's an accident on the other side on the weekend. Now you're stuck on the bridge for at least an hour. So again, keep all of that in mind. Use Google Maps. And number 10, all right, I saved it for last because, you know, it can be a hot button for people. And I just had a conversation with a client, so I thought, you know what, I should bring this up. Number 10 is we're a mixed bag politically. Despite what the news may tell you, there are areas of town that, you know, lean more one way than the other. But for the most part, in my opinion, from my experience being back here, and I've lived in some liberal states and I've lived in some conservative states, I really think Tampa's becoming a melting pot in a more moderate level. So I was telling my client about St. Pete. They really were interested in that area. And I always preface St. Pete with, you do know how liberal it is, right? There's a lot of things going on in that way over there. So if, you know, there's parades, there's flags, all that kind of stuff. If that's not for you, you're not going to be happy there. And you're going to call me and go, why didn't you tell me, right? And then there's parts of Tampa that are more conservative than, say, St. Pete. But then when you get more in the city, it's a little bit more moderate, in my opinion. Now, you could even go to Clearwater and it be a little bit more moderate. So just keep in mind that the news may tell you one thing about our political temperature here and where we all lean. But as you all know, most people, I would say the majority of people that I have met are moderate in some way, shape, or form. So we are not completely conservative. We are not completely liberal. So we're somewhere in the middle. We'll see. at least right now, that's where we are. All right, guys. Well, I hope this video was informative and helped you understand a little bit more of some of the things that you need to consider, you know, things that I probably should have considered before I moved back, but I'm still happy I moved back. And again, don't forget to check out some of my playlists and my other videos if you're curious about the Tampa, St. Pete area. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you next week, okay? Bye-bye.